Okay, James, this is your feedback for the Advanced 3D Animation module. So we'll start off with your storyboard animatic there. Just minimise that first. Storyboard animatic. So first of all, thanks for doing one. It's always a useful thing to do in animatic. You can learn so much from them. You know, you can kind of weed out the stuff that's not going to work before you have to even bother making it. So that's a good thing to do. Okay, so we'll run through it. Bear in mind, I've looked at both of these extensively already, so it's not the first time I'm looking at them, obviously. And then we'll talk through them as we go. Okay, so in terms of the animatic, one of the key things I do like about it is the fact that you've done it with the audio in the background. Very obvious thing that you ought to do, but it just lets you play with pacing before you've had to put too much work into it. Right. Now, it looks like your final piece is relatively faithful to it, particularly this early stuff, you know, going in there, in through the window, getting to the guitar, moving on up the guitar, back through the window. Yeah, so it's good. So I think it's definitely helped you. Working towards your final piece. One main criticism I would have with this is that you must really try and keep your storyboard animatic in the same frame format. So 4:3, 16:9 or whatever. This being more portrait doesn't really let you play around with the framing because you can have completely different framing in your final piece. So just be careful of that. Smart thing to do to have an animatic, but try and keep it consistent across animatic and final piece, let's say. Okay, so that's a good piece. I like that. Let's have a look at the final then. Zip it back.
And one luxury you're allowed to take. Nothing of any practical use. Well, that...
Okay, so let's just stop it there. So I like the fact that you've got an entire scene. That's a good thing. So it's not like there's any black sort of space of nothing happening, so that's good. It sets the scene immediately. There's an island, you know, individual sort of little cabin in there. I like the fact that it's a bit of a reveal as well. We're not quite sure what we're going to get in there. Is it a person, an object, an animal? We really don't know. So that's good. Good thought process.
And one luxury.
I think I'd like to have seen a little bit more movement in the waves here. We did do a session about how you could have those movements. So that would have been a good idea. Again, it just makes it feel a little bit more realistic, certainly.
Nothing of any practical use. Well, that would definitely be a guitar.
Yeah, so it's quite nice how we got a guitar on pretty much on the edit.
It'd definitely be a guitar, right? Yeah. Because that's the kind of thing I can spend hours and engross myself with and write songs. Thank you, Paul Mcgahey, for letting us hear yours.
Now, I think what I would have recommended rather, is that we actually make a little bit more of this guitar, because there's a lot of work gone into making this guitar, and I think it's a shame that we don't just see a little bit more of it, because we've got that nice sort of view there, but it's not very revealing. You know, you've got some good curvature to the edges here that we can't really see in there. Maybe it just needs a little bit of highlight along the rim there. Would have helped with that. Maybe it's just not polished or shiny enough. I don't know. But that said, it's well made. You got the little, you know, the details of things like the screws and things. You got the strings in there. It might have been. I don't think you've done this, but it might have been good if you're going to get so close up to these strings. So consider having slightly different thicknesses of string, as they would be on a bass guitar. Also, maybe a slightly more successful texture that make them look like they're wound or bound wire. I know we did look in class at a few solutions to that, where we look at kind of coiled spring type things which weren't really going to work. So I think a better texture map there, which just made that look a little bit more textured, like it was like a bound string is what we call it, a bound wire. I think that would have improved that.
Oh, right, because that's the kind of thing I can spend.
Yeah, the animation's not too bad there. I mean, as with this, it's relatively subtle. It's not too fast a movement. I think probably what I would have done, although you've got some slow out there, which is just say gradually accelerate, is probably just hold for a second and then gradually speed up down towards the fretboard. I might also have suggested that with the angle that you use is a little bit more that we can actually already see the whole neck, so the perspective of the neck is going off a little bit more like this. So we're actually a bit lower down, looking right at the neck. I think that probably would have just cinematically would have looked a bit better.
Kind of thing I can spend hours and engross myself with and write songs. Thank you, Paul McGahey, for letting us hear your desert art.
I like your solution to having some clouds in there. Difficult thing to do, let's say, realistically. So you've gone for like a kind of a toon-style cloud, which again, it's a good attempt. You've got the shadows in there as well. Shows position, shows how close they are to the ground, water rather than the ground. So that works pretty well. There is a little skip there, though. I noticed as they're animating across, it's almost like they slow down slightly. So they come in, and then they suddenly slow down, which just doesn't quite work. I mean, I know you're kind of showing sort of a passing of time there, but maybe that's the idea. Yeah, I guess that is what the idea is, spending hours. So yeah, I take what back what I said. Okay, yeah. So I think that's it. Overall, it's a good solution to putting together some visuals for the audio file that you've chosen to work with. It's a good audio file as well. I mean, it's relatively simple because basically all I'm saying is I want my guitar so I can write some songs or that kind of thing. So there's not a massive amount to go at. There's not a huge amount of description. It doesn't describe the guitar, so you've made a smart move in finding out what your guitar actually looks like, the one that he's known for having. I like the fact that you have thrown in some lyrics yesterday and what have you. So again, it kind of fits in. It fits the bill, it fits the brief. I think I perhaps like to have seen a little bit more camera control, given that pretty much all of your animation is camera movement, although there is the unscrolling sort of lyrics and there are the clouds. Most of it's kind of the camera work, which is fine. So perhaps a little bit more control, a little bit more kind of cinematic thought for how you're going to cut things together, maybe, might have worked better. And I think that would have just tidied things up. But overall, James, I'm really pleased with what you've done. There's a lot of work in there. That guitar particularly has taken some building. And I'm really pleased that you attended lots. And I think you've got a lot out of this module. So well done for that. Thank you.